All right, y'all, let's talk about Insecure. For those OG fans like myself, we know it started out as an internet series, and we've really seen Issa Rae just shoot up. But do you all think today we can see Black creators still become famous from YouTube and these like internet-based shows? Taylor, what do you think?
I think, well, at that time, it was really big to do web series when Issa first started. So you're starting to see now like the old heads getting into, showbiz. But I think for sure, like with podcasts and just even when it comes to like Instagram reels with fashion, you'll start to see them in like small commercials. I think you can get really big into that space. So my answer is yeah.
But do you feel like it's harder now?
I think it's definitely harder. I think it's way harder because everyone's doing it now. Social media wasn't what it was like in like 09, 010, where you could be doing it for 5 years and then you're Jackie Aina, It's everyone wants to be famous on social media, so it's for sure harder, for sure.
I kind of disagree. I feel like for Issa back then it was much harder because it's hard to get people to kind of watch web series. Now, because we are so into our phones, it's much easier to get people to tune into your content. Now, the hard part is making it profitable, trying to monetize it. And I feel like nowadays, what we have now is now everybody's doing social media, but now we have examples of people who's showing how you can monetize from those opportunities. YouTube has the program where creators can get paid from YouTubes. I get paid on Instagram for my reels. So it's much easier now to get up there, but the hard part is trying to monetize and get money from it. I think that's where the difficulty comes into play.
I agree with that as well, because I look at web series now like the music industry. Before, you needed a way in, you needed to know somebody to get in and say, no, this is the person, they have the show, they have the content. Now you can just go on, just like SoundCloud rappers had that stream where we could just go straight to the artist goes straight to the consumer. You find the people that want you and you're good to go. So now I feel like with web series, it's the same exact way. It's just about how you can market it, what will make you stand out, because if you look at the street web series, you have Money and Violence. They went from just being a web series to having their own show. The website, they were able to have people pay to watch their show. Money and Respect, it was different. There are different web series just about what makes you stand out to make me want to watch his stuff. Z-Way was a TikToker. She has a Showtime show now, and it's amazing. So it can absolutely happen.
Lil Nas X too.
Issa's story is just a perfect example of how with consistency, you don't need to sit at the table. You can create your own table, get your own team, and make your own content. We're now in an age where we don't have to wait for people to give us opportunities. We can make it for ourselves. Everybody can be a creator.
I feel like the the social media influencer to like real life stardom pipeline is very, very strong. And like, even though it's a much more competitive market now, I feel like a lot of the good ones are still really like, they're eating it up. Like they're really like, especially if you think about like the hair girlies, the makeup girlies, like they're really getting these sponsorships, these brand deals. And it's like, it's a lot of them, but if they're good at it, it's like that pipeline is still very strong. So I know it's a little different from the web series, but
I just think it's saturated. I agree. Of course, it was harder for Issa Rae to get into it in like 09, 010. I just think everyone can get a break now, but I just think it's saturated now when you see Instagram, algorithms, getting your name out. Photos are not anymore, it's reels. So it's a case by case scenario for me. Of course, it's, if you're a cute girl and you got curly hair and you'll probably get a sponsorship, whatever. But if you're really about it and you've been working on it for years, sometimes it is harder for you to get a break than somebody else.
You know what? I'm actually agree with you, right? And I do think Issa and what she did remarkable. I'm not taking anything away from it, but I do think just like podcasts, like we didn't even know what podcast was 5-6 years ago, but now everyone is creating podcasts. Some Black men need to stop making podcasts, but I think
therapy.
When we think about, my brother over here, Elijah mentioned Z-Way, right? But it's almost like you need a gimmick to kind of break out from everyone else, right? If you watch Z-Way on Instagram, she was asking white people, why are you racist, right? Like with a very straight face.
You need talent.
And so you need talent, but I feel as though sometimes there's amazing web series. I watched a web series called Tough Love, right? And some of those web series jump off, some of them don't, but every episode is dope. I'm sure they have a huge crew, huge cast, and yet they're not necessarily getting the same recognition as other ones who they're saying just controversial things and everyone's watching. And so I do think there's a difference between quality over quantity. And I do think, for every, one Issa Rae, there's probably 100 who are just as talented, but they're not getting looked at. And so I'm just curious, are there any web series that you all do watch now? Because if we're saying we can make it happen, do you all, anybody watch any web series right now?
I'll be honest with you. Cable, for me, I'm that person. When I want to watch it now. I'm not waiting until Thursday night at 8 p.m. I'm not doing it. I might be at work, so I'm going to miss it. I'm not doing it. So I did find my web series. It has been a while, especially now, because let's face it, our attention span has shrunk. So now, you know, we look at short form content. So it's more so of like TikToks or maybe like a 10-minute clip, a 20-minute clip, maybe a half an hour. But for sure, when I was watching web series, I was watching, like I said, Money and Violence, Respect Money. It was a few of them, Mayhem in Jersey. A lot of the web series coming out of the tri-state area, those are the ones I was watching. But I definitely, it can happen. And I think, really, to be honest with you, when you want to make it big, the businesses and things like that are going to pay for it, they just want to they want to be where the eyes are. People want their product where people's eyes are. So you might need a gimmick, you might need something to get you to where you want to go, but if it works for you, it works for you. Seinfeld was a show about nothing. And it worked. It worked. So
I don't watch any.
One of America's favorite shows.
I feel like as Black creators, the one thing that I want us to get out of this mindset is that we all can't win. It's a lot. Everybody can still, even if it's saturated, everybody can still eat. No, it can't be one person on top. Everybody can still eat. I see so many people doing the same thing and everybody's getting a bag. And these are people who are not Black. I see white people do it all the time. The same shows over and over and they're getting money. So why can't we? Why, when we have our content, our space, we feel like, well, this person's already doing it, I can't do it. No, you can do it too, sis. We can all do it. It's enough money out there. And a lot of these brands who want people to promote their stuff, they want different people promoting it. They don't want the same person. Like, you have everyone's unique. You have your own thing. I could have the same content as her, but how I'm communicating it is different from her. We could be saying the same thing, but my energy could be different from her. We're giving you the same message, but with our own uniqueness. So everybody can do it.
And then also, like, everyone has their own audience, their own separate network. So just because, you know, like if we're doing the same thing, we don't have the same audience, we don't have the same followers, we don't have the same network. So we're sending the same message to two different groups of people. And then it's like, and that's just how it is. So it's like, even if the market is like overly saturated, we don't all have that same audience. Like it's not like we're all sharing the same audiences.
The internet is definitely, I think, Black people's answer to equaling the playing field when it comes to and increasing our wealth.
Yep.
Like in a space where we weren't getting those open doors or those yeses, we could create it for ourselves. And so I love the fact that you mentioned everybody could eat. Like literally create your own situation, whatnot. We've named all these examples, Lil Nas X, all the web shows that you mentioned, etc. And at the very least, just start monetizing through like building your own services, your own products, you know, etc. So how does that feel? Like even knowing that there's options for us that are within our control.
It honestly motivates me more because I'm a person who's like, wants to be the host, want to be a moderator, want to be on TV, want to be seen. And when I go on, I actually hated TikTok, but now I love that app because I see people, Instagram is I feel like, you know, you gotta be beautiful, you got that aesthetic. TikTok is so just,
more
you can
raw,
just record
yeah.
anything. It's more, you don't have to have those aesthetics, you can be yourself. And I love going to a sound and seeing how many people made content to that same sound and seeing the different variations of what people did with one sound. And that motivates me like, oh, I'm about to jump on this too. I'm about to make a sound, put my own spin on it because my experience is different. Sometimes I do content catered to plus size. Sometimes I do content catered to being from Brooklyn, being hood, or whatever you want to say. Like, you know, you put your own spin on it, but it's the same message. So it motivates me like, okay, if they're doing it, let me get my butt up and get my content out.
I feel like also with like the internet, I feel like it is, like you said, it does level the playing field for us because creativity and culture does not move without Black people. And I feel like on TikTok and social media, that is where we're like, it's like the proof has always been in the pudding, but now it's very in your face. And that's why when these whole TikTok dances before, it was like, okay, like little Black girls would create them and now they're not the ones getting the credit for it, but then enough of us are putting our foot down like, hold up, no, they're the creators of this. And so it has leveled the playing field for sure, because it's like now it's very in your face, like we're the ones, we are the culture. So it's like you're gonna have to understand it right there.